There you go. So 200, you want to go from 200 miles to feet, right? I know some of you know the shortcuts and you do all kinds of things, right? Because you figured out how to do it, right? But I think it's important to make sure you do it in a way that shows how you got there. Okay? So you start with the unit that you're given. So let's say it's 200 miles. I want to emphasize that right now it's just miles. Okay? It's not miles per hour. It's not miles per second. It's just miles. So we make a mental note of that. Only one unit to worry about. You want to multiply it by a rate. Okay, a rate is just two different numbers, right, with different units that will cancel out the miles that are up here in the numerator. So you're like, okay, miles and feet. Do I have a rate that converts or that relates miles and feet? And you have that 1 mile has 5,280 feet, correct? So that's the one you're going to be using. But where are you going to put the 1 mile? That's always the tricky part. In the denominator. You're going to put the 1 mile in the denominator because that's how they're going to cancel out, right? If you have a number at the top and the same number at the denominator, you cancel them out, right? So 1 mile has 5,280 feet, okay? And I'm just going to highlight the miles and the miles, right? And I will show that I'm using red, but you don't have to. I'm just showing that the miles get canceled out, and what are you left with? Feet, which is what you want, okay? So all you have to do here is you just go 200 times 5,280, okay? And that gives you this many feet, and you're done. 1,056,000, right? So this is just a one step, okay? One step. Just giving you a note, right? This is the easy case. Just boom, one multiplication. Will there be instances where the 1 mile might be in the numerator? Yes, there will be. It always depends on what is it that you want to cancel out. Okay, let's keep going. I will just make a note here. Since we want to cancel out miles, right, we place the miles, right, in the denominator. Sorry, it's the denominator. So this is just a note, and so I will go from here. I'll just make an arrow, right, to that, just indicating that we're talking about that one right there. B, let's say you want to convert 347 centimeters to feet. Okay, so this is, we would have to tackle this differently, right? But the steps remain the same. You start with 347 centimeters. Make sure you write down the units, multiply it by, and remember it's just centimeters, nothing else. Because down the road you might have two different units to start with, so you need to worry about both of them. Okay, 347. We're gonna go. There's There's a couple different ways you can do this one, okay? And the order in which you do them doesn't matter as long as it's correct, okay? So I'm gonna say, hey, if I go up here, I see that I have inch and centimeters. So that's gonna be my first step. I'm gonna put down 1 inch has 2.54 centimeters. And this is correct, right? This is actually talking about the same distance in different units, right? But that allows you to cancel out the centimeters here. And then you're left with, and I'm going to highlight it as well. Okay. What happens here? Watch this, folks. 347 times 1, which is 347, right? Divided by 2.54. Right, like so. You in this case, you're actually dividing 347 by 2.54. That's what's happening there. So if you do that, you get. Oh wait. I used to do this in 2 steps. I'm going to do it in 1 step. Let me get rid of this equal sign. Please do that as well. I'm still a bit rusty, folks. I was just fishing last weekend, right? That's all I'm thinking. Anyways. We are now in inches, right? Like if we were to do this, our answer would be in inches, but we want to be in feet, correct? So we need to do one more of these. Multiply. I'm going to use the one that you all know, which is 1 foot has 12 inches, right? So the 12 inches need to come down here for sure because inches is up here, correct? So then you put the 1 foot up here. And I'm going to use a different highlighter. It's like, oh my goodness, too fancy. Too fancy. Inches and inches, correct? That's the only way this works. Some students just try to write it in and blah, they just get the right answer somehow. It's like, no, if I can't follow this, you technically didn't do it right. Okay? Okay, I'll show you this. Technically, if you go 347 times 1, you get 347, correct? And that's feet. Then the bottom, you go 2.54 times 12, which is 30.48. Any units? No units because you've canceled them all out. The only unit that is left is feet. That's the one we want. You don't have to do it this way, but I just want to show you that you got to be careful how you type this into your calculator. And then you go 347 divided by 30.48, which gives you 11.38 feet. And this is a multi-step. Multi-step question, right? I'll show you a different way, just because I need you to know always, as long as it's mathematically sound, that you're doing it right, okay? So, or, let's say you started with 347, and you knew that 1 meter had 100 centimeters. Again, I'm putting the centimeters down here because I want to cancel them out. So we use that. We are able to cancel that out. No problem, right? I need to continue because I'm still not in feet. Which one can I use now to get me to feet? What's that? Meters to feet, right? So we have up there, we have 1 foot has 0.3048 meters. So I'm going to put the 0.3048 meters down here because I want to cancel out those meters, and I will put the 1 foot up here. And you don't have to highlight anymore if you don't want to. but I cancel this one out with that one. And I'm still left with feet, which is what I want. So 347 times 1 times 1 is 347 feet, divided by this times that actually gives you 3048 as well. And then you can tell that they're the same, so you expect the same answer, right? How are we doing with this? Yeah, so. Some of you might have to review this later. But this is really the answer, right? This is the answer right here, 1138 feet. All right, moving on. I'll give you a couple to practice with. See, how about try that one, and try actually, let's turn this into, that's good, yeah, into feet. Try those three based on what you've learned. Okay, so here we go. Pay attention. So millimeters to inches. Right, we start with what we're given. We have that 1 centimeter has 10 millimeters. Right, you know this, right? But you just need to be able to place it in the right spot. So that's going to get rid of the millimeters, but I still need to go to inches, right? I know that 1 inch has 2.54 centimeters, correct? That is a fact. And so you can cancel centimeters with centimeters. So now all that is left is in inches. So I'm going to have to get my calculator out for this, right? So you got to go 27.45 divided by 10. You have to be careful. You cannot go times 2.54 because then the calculator will think that the 2.54 is up here. So you either go divided by 10 equals and then go divided by 2.54 again to get that. Okay, so that's 1.08 inches. Make sense? Okay, this is the other way you can do this. 27.45 divided by bracket 10 times 2.54 because technically these two are multiplying, correct? In the denominator. So you got to put brackets around that or else you get it wrong. It's bed mass basically. Okay, and so that's what you're supposed to get. So if you didn't get it, don't be too hard on yourself right now, but you do want to make sure you get this part, okay? Kilometers to feet. I know that my time is limited. I'm gonna go kilometers to miles because I know that. Oh, I didn't give you that, did I? Ah, of course you couldn't do it. Okay, 1 mile has 1.609 kilometers. Of course you couldn't do it, right? But didn't you think of that, right? Some of you were thinking is, you know what, I need something here that I'm not. So some of you were creative and found other ways. I know that. You went to meters and then you went, I know. And that's all good as long as it's, this is my little added here. It has to be mathematically sound. That's what I always say, okay? Um, so that gets rid of kilometers. And then I know that 1 mile has 5,280 feet. Boom, boom. And so that's this times this times this, all in one shot. So it is 29,734.32 feet. Which makes sense, right? Kilometer is a long distance, right? Feet are just small, right? So there's that. The bell is gonna go in 10, so no, 2 o'clock. So we'll keep it at that.